behold, as nothing happens. Because until you ring both, the first spell is pointless. What's the message someone's left? Praise the sun! Indeed we shall. Glory be to the sun. Now, I'd like to say how impressed I am with myself at actually being able to fight both the gargoyles at once and coming out okay. But even without a shield and with all my so-called downsides, I feel like perhaps I overdid it a bit with the equipment. Not really a true test of skill at all.
Greetings. I am Oswald of Kareem, the partner. Thou art a friend.
Now, your main reward for beating the gargoyles is really just this guy.
Cometh thou to confess, or to accuse?
Apart from being a shop of sorts, where he sells fun items like the Book of the Guilty, which is rather pointless at this point, I think. You can check your list of indicted players, but it's about as long as the universe at this point, and none of the names mean anything or can be interacted with in any way, so what's the point of it? Same for indictments. Who really wants to indict people? He does sell Homeward Bones though, and that's useful. And of course he has the best price for purging stones. I always grab a couple from him when I get the chance. He sells the Karmatic Justice Miracle. He sells a talisman which scales off into intelligence rather than faith, but can still use miracles. And he sells a couple of generic resistance rings. All very good. But his main function... Oh, well, you can learn a gesture off him too. Well, that's it. His main function is his ability to abandon your covenant without inflicting a sin or a penalty on you, and the ability to forgive you for trespasses you may have committed in this playthrough. So, abandoned covenant means that you can give up your current covenant. So for me it's the Way of the White. And basically you won't suffer any ill effects, except for perhaps the penalty for your covenant's progress. But the covenant, normally when you break a covenant, like the NPCs in that covenant get incredibly shirty with you. But if you abandon the covenant in this way, they will basically behave as they would have before you joined. They won't become hostile or rude or anything else like that. And though generally allows you to change covenants without raising anyone's hackles. Request absolution if you have made if you've sinned or you've made an NPC angry at you, and so that they're hostile to you now. Often when you use request absolution, they will go back to being non-hostile and forget that you did something to them in the first place. So if you've made an important NPC hostile to you and you want them to not be hostile anymore, come back here and request absolution from this guy. Unless, of course, you've made this guy hostile, in which case you're utterly screwed. So don't attack this guy.
Any time. It is only human.
You took a bit of sin. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Although God knows where he came from in the first place. Is he just hiding in there the whole time? I mean, really. Anyway, with the gargoyles defeated, I think now is another time. Sorry, I think now is a good time to go back and see if I can revenge myself against that butterfly. And if I can do that, I can get the Divine Ember, which makes it possible for me to go to the catacombs. Don't know if it's a good idea that I should go to the catacombs, but it's at least possible. There are some good compelling reasons to go to the catacombs early in a playthrough. For one thing, you can get the Rite of Kindling early, which will allow us to kindle our bonfires up to their actual maximum of 20 Estus flasks. So that's a very compelling reason to go into the catacombs. Also, I would get to visit the third blacksmith in the game, which is Vamos, who deals in fire and chaos weapons. So
Well,
he's
hello again. You seem to be doing all right. Need anything forged?
like he's a good way to get elemental damage early on, if you don't want to wait until much later on to get lightning weapons, which are generally considered one of the more broken base damage weapons. Infamously so in the original version of the game. Did I have any business with this guy, or did I just talk to him how to have it? I think I just talked to him how to have it. I got some shards there.
Don't get you neither.
They may be upgrading a second Caestus soon, so the shards won't go to waste. And what I want to do here is, aside from the butterfly, there's also the Titanite demon downstairs, which might be this might be the time for me to give it a shot. He's very close to a bonfire, so it's not like I'm risking terribly much to fight him. It'll basically just be a question of whether I can manage to outdo him or not. Nope, too early by far. Don't want to be hit by that. Or this. He does sort of have like a blind spot around his tail, where his swings don't really quite hit. But it's a pretty small window. Far better to try and avoid his attacks entirely. Remember to roll when he does a jump. If you need some breathing space, just get away from him. Go back to his lightning throwing, which is very easy to dodge. Even though he's holding the pole in that way, it has a lot of range, so... He seems to adjust his grip on the pole so that it actually does quite a bit of reach. And if he manages to actually catch you with the pole, he'll do a pretty savage grappling move. Oh yeah, also this particular Titanite demon, you can sometimes whiff his attacks by just standing here near the stairs. But don't over-rely on it. Well, that was fairly stress-free. Demon Titanite, and now I can walk through this room without having to avoid him every time I want to go down here. Works fine for me. Blood red moss clumps. We should make sure to get enough clumps before going to Blighttown. So killing some of these plant dudes can be quite profitable. Seems I still don't kill them very easily, even with my upgraded weapon. If I visited Vamos and got a flame weapon, it might be something a bit different. Yeah, man. Deal with you before waking up your friend. They do have a grab attack when you're standing close and they raise both their arms. If they do grab you, just do that bump, like mash both the shoulder pads of your controller. You can actually get out of it quite easily. If you allow them to do the full grab animation, it will probably hurt quite a bit. Although it's not a one-shot kill, even though sometimes it seems like it might be. It doesn't have nearly the power of the mimic grab, for instance. Now I bought the key from the blacksmith earlier, so we can open this door too. Although the enemies in that area are quite tough. Probably a little tough for me, since I'm, as I've demonstrated many times, rather unskilled at what I do. What are we going to do? There's no particular reason to fight anything in here except for the giant at the entrance. So nothing else actually has to be woken up in order to get to the butterfly. I should point out that it's actually very important to kill this guy, even though you could probably run past him quite easily. It's not a good idea, because apparently the butterfly can sometimes bug out if you leave this guy alive. Now, the first time I was here I failed to mention it, but if you are in human form, there will be a soul sign hidden underneath these branches, around here, to summon Witch Beatrice. She makes the butterfly fight incredibly easy to win, because she can win the fight by herself. She's a very powerful spellcaster. She will just run up and down the bridge, basically owning the butterfly at every opportunity. And the butterfly really can't kill her. It'll just be a matter of surviving until she kills it. So basically it's almost a guaranteed win, as long as you're not completely foolish while you're fighting the butterfly. Also, you have to actually summon her here if you want her to be available later for the Four Kings fight. So, actually, you can just summon her and then banish her, and that will also unlock her for the Four Kings fight. You don't actually have to use her in the butterfly fight itself, just as long as you summon her once. If you are the kind of person who thinks you might need help with a later fight with a phantom, then make sure you at least summon her once. For me, though, I think we're going to have to just give this a good old try. Where are you, butterfly? Here you are. Staying close to the wall in front of the butterfly is probably the best way to go, because it will sometimes block these spiky attacks. See? If you stand too far away from the front of the bridge, they will tend to go over it. And if possible, you want to avoid that happening. That just takes timing. And again, being as close to the side of the bridge as possible. And then when he comes down, start wailing like there's no tomorrow. Get away before he blows up. He heals a slight bit when he does that, apparently, but it's not enough to really care about. The needle works will still hit you. It's just a matter of luck sometimes. neglect to roll no matter what the attack is. Oh. Damn. Those homing attacks are probably the worst. Don't be like me. Stand in front of the butterfly, not off to the side of it. If you stand off to the side, it just gets more chances to be a brick. Also, if you're not being like me and using a strange weapon, you should two-hand your weapons when you're attacking it on the bridge if you're doing a melee, because there's not much to block in this fight. Don't try and use the door as a shield unless you're unless it's flying overhead, because that will actually bait it into flying overhead and it will try and hit you with its big orb attack. Its regular attacks are unpleasant enough. Gotta get in front of it. Seems like it's not energetic. Like I could have sworn it was going to shoot me as it flew overhead just then, but nope. Seems content to keep using normal-esque attacks. Lucky for me. That means I might only have to go one round with it in hyper mode. I could also probably get some like green blossom stuff and quash that to get more attacks in, but for the moment I think I'll just settle for what I got. If I can survive one more round of barrages, I think I've got it done. But its attacks will get a little more desperate now that it's on low health. Oh, well, that was just me screwing up. Nothing to do with the actual butterfly. And again. Watch me start screwing up in chain. Man, I can't win. I'm going to completely fuck up the whole fight just in the last section. Damn it. Oh. It's a dodge. Oh. Better or worse, this fight's ending now. Whew. That was a bit close. There you go. That's how you have trouble with one of the game's easiest bosses. I'm not sure if there's too many videos like that. But yeah, that's how you do it. Struggling against things people were not meant to struggle against. Now I believe the only thing we get up here is oh wait, no. This is where you would normally get the Watchtower basement key. Although the master key obviously makes that completely irrelevant. Divine Ember, Homeward Bone, yeah, standard stuff. I suppose that Homeward Bone will be useful though. Let's go use it. Okay. Let's repair all our equipment. Take my butt back to the blacksmith. We got a divine ember to cash in, I think. You think so? So if I happen to pick up a couple of moss items on the way, all the better. Damn. Even in this playthrough, where I'm going to have to deal with bleeding a lot, I don't think I'm ever going to use the bleeding moss. The red moss is almost a joke item. I don't think anyone really uses it very often. Not compared to the poison moss, which gets like tons of use, and the toxic moss, which gets like, it's either use it or die. Anyway, since the Titanite demon's gone, this will be rather peaceful. I feel liberated. Am I the only one that ever, like, didn't realize that, like, while the Titanite demon is here, I don't tend to think about the room, and then when he's gone, I suddenly notice that there's a giant hole in the wall? Oh well, maybe it's just me. Anyway, that was a good run, so I'll leave the video here and we'll pick this up next time. So, see ya!